because this is my favorite way to buy a house. I bought my owner-occupant house this way, and I support my family. 3 things we look for with subject to properties. Condition of the house, right? Now, if the house is bustitoed, needs a bunch of work, you can still do the deal. We call those ugly lease options or ugly subject to. You can still take up the payments because there are tons of people out there that any house is a step up. Any house is a step up, right? My mentor used to say, Chris, any house for somebody is a step up. Just because you living in a $50,000 house, you don't want to move to a $40,000. The person living in a $20,000 house will be happy to live in a $50,000 house, right? So every house is a step up for somebody. The condition of the property. Second thing we look for is the monthly payment. Can we cash flow it? Can we cash flow this thing? Back in the day, Troy Titus, if you look him up, he's in jail for 30 years. One of my ex-mentors. Uh-oh. Y'all know Troy out here? I'm old, y'all.
30 years for what?
He was, believe it or not, he was a real estate coach, attorney, right here. Right out here.
It was mortgage fraud.
Mortgage fraud. You know, he defrauded Lonnie. Did you know Lonnie?
I know Troy.
Troy, yeah, anyway. Troy Titus, an attorney, did that. He went to jail, monthly payment. What was that? Where did we get off on Troy? Damn, why are we talking about Troy? Monthly payments. Back in the day, 2004, 5, 6, the strategy was, believe this or not, buy a house, no or negative cash flow, hold on to it for a year, and sell it. Can you believe that? That was the strategy gurus. Come on in, guys. That was the strategy gurus were teaching, including Troy Titus. There's a handout right here. Can you give me a handout? That was the strategy that people were teaching, and I was doing it too. Hence, that's why I got foreclosed on 3 times. So monthly payments. We do not buy a house unless it has cash flow for investment property. And I know some of you are going to, $50, $100, maybe I could squeeze. Let me tell you from experience, $100 cash flow is 0 cash flow, okay? Now, you might be looking to do some long-term stuff with your portfolio. I'm not mad at that. But if you're looking to get rich and wealthy and have a real estate empire, $100 cash flow is not going to help you. I have been there. You been there? But yeah, $100 cash flow ain't gonna work. I used to think I get $100 a house, then I get 10 houses that have $1,000 cash flow. Little did I know that one repair will wipe out your whole cash flow in 1 month. Vacancy, oh my Lord, people scamming you. Chris, I'm gonna have to rent next week. Oh yeah, will you take this? Nah, I'll have $500. Can you do that? Yours, yeah, I'll take that 500. Don't get into that. Don't get into people partially paying and running you around. Either you have the rent or you don't. There's nothing else to talk about. That's why I love real estate. I don't have to talk to a lot of people. Pay the rent, you don't, send out a notice. Before COVID, send the notice out, it was 5 days, now it's 14 days. I can't get tenants out. Okay, so monthly payment. You better have cash flow, right? Monthly payment, cash flow. And I want you to have at least $200 because one repair, I promise you, one repair will wipe you out. She's smiling like, yeah, you're right about that. Thank you for coming. The third thing we look for on a subject to property is the amount owed and the arrears. Generally speaking, what you're dealing with here on a subject to property is going to be somebody that's in a little distress. A lot of people ask me, oh, Chris, why would a seller do this? They're not going to do this. Why is somebody going to deed me their property and keep the loan in their name? What dummy would do that? Well, somebody is looking for cash because we can pay them cash regardless of what they owe. I don't care if they owe $1 million on the property. If the monthly payment is $500 and I can cash flow it for $1,000, why wouldn't I do the deal? Right? It doesn't matter. What you owe is irrelevant. Respective to the deal, right? If you owe $1 million and your payment's $250, you can do the deal. But if you owe $1 million and you try to list it on the market and try to sell it and it's only worth $1 million, Chris, what is your realtor fee on $1 million? What's the realtor fee on $1 million?
Typical about 60,000.
60 grand, right? So if somebody owes that, they can't sell it unless they're going to pay Chris out of their pocket. But with you, Mr. Investor, well, Ms. Smith, would you like to write a check or get a check? I'm willing to give you $40,000, $50,000. Let me take over your payments. Would that be a good day for you? You daggone right, it would be a good day for me. You mean I don't have to pay realtor fee, closing costs, inspection, appraisal, none of that? Let me tell you guys, Subject to is a powerful tool. It is my favorite way to buy houses, and hopefully after today you'll do the same. So amount they owe is important regarding to the value of the property. So when we go sell it, say they owe 150, the house is worth 150. We can sell it for the exact same amount or more because we're going to own the house and we now own the financing. I don't think y'all got that one. I don't think you got it. Let me go right. Once they deed us the property, right? Now we own the financing too. So what can we do? Sell it, and finance somebody. Is that not cool? We can sell it and turn it to the bank. Okay, because the loan is still there. I own house. I control the debt. I sell the house for 150. My mortgage payment is over here 500. My new payment to my new buyer is 1,000. I collect the difference and I'm gone. Cool day. And another thing we get is down payments. We do not sell unless we collect a large down payment from our, we call them tenant buyers, because generally speaking, my mission with doing these types of deals is we provide home ownership for people that can't necessarily go out and get a loan. Sound like I said that 1,000 times? We provide home ownership for people that can't necessarily go out and get a loan. Good God, I said that 1,000 times. How's the time, Taylor? It's rolling? So when you get into these things, you can sell the house. Well, Miss Smith, you got a new house, 5,000 down. You got a loan. You can sell it you can sell the house with the financing because you control the financing. Now there are a lot of moving parts that I can't get into at this time. I just want to kind of give you guys a overall a 40,000 foot view of what creative financing looks like. So after today, how many people are going out and buying houses subject to? Okay, few people. No, you guys are not going to do it. All right, so that's all I got for you today. Listen, you can do this with no equity. The equity is irrelevant. You can owe 150. You can owe 160 and the house be worth 150. I've done houses where the people owe 50,000 more than what and we still are able to collect down payments out of people. Obviously, there's some moving parts in it, but I just want you to know that you do not have to pay off the loan to sell. Creative financing, guys. Kris, time good? Q&A? You know, do some quick Q&A. Taylor, let's start another one for Q&A. What's your name?
Michael Johnson.
Hey, Michael.
Yeah. Let's go.
What you got?
So
Let's come to you next.
first, well, I just have one question. So it sounds simple. Well, not simple, but it sounds like it's a simple solution to, or a better option versus taking out a loan and buying a house. And,
You, the investor.
yeah. Doing a subject to. What's the best way, like me not being a realtor?
That's right.
Realtor.
Give you a good hand. Yeah, I'm going to come after
You
you.
didn't get me. Yeah. What's the best way to find those particular homeowners that would be interested in doing something like that? Like your example.
Motivated seller.
$1 million house. They don't want to pay $60,000 for the realtor fee.
Yep.
How do you find those?
All right. I'm going to preface this by saying, in this climate, I will tell you, it's a little more from my perspective, and this doesn't have to be your reality. From my perspective, it's a little more challenging to do creative stuff only because our government is not allowing the process to clean up all of the loans that are behind. So let me tell you the typical people we deal with, right? They're behind 3, 4, 5 months, 5,000 in arrears, foreclosures imminent, okay? They call me up, Kris. No, they have no equity, so they can't go to a realtor, right? They can't sell it on the market. Hey, I don't want to lose my house. I want to save my credit. We come in, pay off their arrears, give them $5,000, they're gone. But now that our colorful government has allowed these loans to become, how do you say? Default, but I mean they're not. No one's doing it. They aren't allowing them to clean them up, right? They aren't allowed the deferred payments. I promise you, I had 3 of these working, and the people are like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait it out, and I can't be mad at them. Why would I? I'm like, oh, you need to. I couldn't give them any money because they were like Well, payment's $1,000 a month. But if I stay here for 12 months, you're only going to give me $5,000. But if I stay here for 12 months, I made $12,000. So it was a little more challenging to negotiate those type of deals. But they are out there, and what we're using now is pay per click. We do, now it ain't cheap. Anybody else doing pay per click? You spending a lot of money on that too?
Yeah, I spend about $3,000 a month.
$3,000, we're spending $6,000. So pay per click, Facebook. I don't necessarily like Facebook because there's just so many trash. You on social media too? You get trash leads. I mean, just trash lead. I'm like, you don't even, you filled out the sheet, but you don't even own a house? Why would you filled out the sheet to sell us a house, but you don't own a house. So that was interesting. I'm like, but you don't own a house. What? We ran Facebook ads for a year, bought some houses, but just spent too much money on that. That was weird. So pay per click, you will spend, but I love those leads. I mean, you show up there hugging you, they're ready to go. They're like, let's do this. They're ready to do business. Those are what we're using now. I still do direct mail, probates. I can't, pre-foreclosures, they are picking up. We go to the auctions. What is it? PropStream. If you go to, I forgot to give y'all a site. If you want to go to Kris Property Data, you get a discount on PropStream, Kris Property Data. You can pull pre-foreclosures, child support liens, skip tracing. We do text message marketing too. I don't necessarily like that, but we have people that do that. Kris Property Data. It's a PropStream. It's a service where you can pull mortgage information, skip tracing.
Kris is in the first name, Kris?
Yep, just like Kris Haskins.
But with
Kris Property.
K or
Yep,
C-A-N?
with a K. Kris Property Data. Kris Property Data. I negotiated a discount for PropStream for all you guys. PropStream is a service where you can go and pull public records, liens, HOA stuff, all type of just different motivation for sellers. Or is it Terrence?
Oh, Andrew.
Good. Yeah, Andrew, what's up, bro?
No, I was gonna go on a rant, but I'm not. I think I just have one question I'm sure you can answer because it threw me off talking to
Oh, you good?
a real estate lawyer around doing the subject to for my rental property. My tenants were interested, but he said
And your tenants want to buy your house.
yes, and the lawyer said, well, you can't because there's a risk for the due on sale.
Due on sale clause. That's right.
And then he recommended a lease option, and I think that's the way around it, and it's probably me explaining to my tenants, but after that, they're like, we'll just rent for now.
Just rent.
Yeah.
Andrew, so due on sale clause, that's where the lender could, right, call the loan due. They could. I've never had it. My mentor has been in the business 50 to 70 years plus. They've had 2 out of the hundreds that they've done, right? But I'm not going to advise you to sell on a subject to. I would never advise us. We don't sell. We don't buy how we sell. We don't buy how we sell. We buy sub to, sell lease option. Buy sub to, sell lease option. Okay? Why is that? Larry's going to talk to us later about depreciation, no doubt, and about owning the property. Once you're off the title, you can't depreciate it, and you lose all the tax stuff. But I do not. You're right. First of all, your attorney said you can't. I can't. I don't like that word. You can't do it. I'm not an attorney, so he knows what he's talking about. We do it all the time. You can't sell it subject to. I think best if you were to sell it on a lease option because you can collect that down payment.
Okay.
But you still want to maintain ownership to the deed. Yeah, that's where the big boys, man, ownership, tax benefits. You got to have some horses in the stable, my friend. You don't want to be, don't be like me, headed your whole career, wholesaling, selling everything. Everything's gone. That is a direct path to being poor. I don't care if you make $500,000 a year. I don't care what you make. When you stop doing it and the money stops, you are 100% guaranteed to be broke. I've been there. My first record deal, I promise you, at $200,000. Popping bottles, traveling Africa, London, Paris, doing it big. $80 in my pocket on my friend's couch. It took me about a year and a half to blow it all. $100 bottles, everybody buying. That lifestyle is not, it's just a destructive lifestyle. That's when I found real estate. And I found that we need to invest in assets that go up as opposed to depreciating crap that goes down. All right, any other Q&A? We get out of here.
Just real quick, so the subject to, maybe I misinterpreted it, is it only something that you use in tandem with the lease option or an owner financing? Or is this, a buy and hold investor, there's room for that strategy too? Or does it just all start with subject to, or does it have to be parlayed into another creative strategy, for you, the investor, to get money?
Good question. Remember, I told you at the beginning of our presentation, I own my owner OC where we live, subject to, right? We are done with guaranteeing debt. Now, I might have to do it now because my wife wants this thing, but we're done. We do not go to banks to get loans, right? We don't turn in credit, tax, none of that stuff, right? So we buy owner-occupant homes like that, investment homes to flip if you want to. I've done that. Long-term holds. Now, lease option, that is a long-term hold, my friend. We just don't do, I'm done with traditional conventional rentals. I do not do them anymore. That is how I lost my hair. People not paying, screwing you over, vacancies, repairs. We don't do that. So subject to, you can buy it. Once you get it, it's yours. You do whatever you want to do with it. Lease option it out, Section 8 it out. Traditional tenant, I wouldn't do that, but you can. If it's ugly or pretty, doesn't matter. There's a market for all type of houses out here, my friend. I've sold houses without kitchens. My daughter they don't have a kitchen. We get down payments out of people because there's a sub-market out there. I'm telling you guys, these contractors.
Kris, how are you, once you sell the property on a lease option or you get it under contract for for a sub-2, how are you servicing it? Are you the one that's writing the checks each month, or are you putting away
Good question.
company and just?
Good question. Good question. What's your name, my friend?
Claudio.
Claudio, that's right. I met you when I came in. How do we pay the debt? Well, I'm going to tell you. There's several ways you could do it. I have actually went into the bank, make payments. How do we make payments on subject twos? How do we service it, right? So at the end of the day, what does the bank want? Money. They don't care about who has. They don't care who makes the payment, generally speaking, right? So I've went into the bank and they say, thank you, Mr. Smith, or whoever, I don't even remember. Going to the bank, I made them that way. I've mailed it in. I've actually set it up on automatic draft from my bank account on the internet where I don't have to think about it. So all different types of ways you want to do it. But I have never set up a servicer to make the payments. Never done that. Well, automatic payment is usually how we do it. That way I don't have to think about it.
So on your subject twos, do you have a personal preference on whether you rent the property out or do a lease option with the property?
Yeah, I'm done with rentals. I did rentals from 4 to 10. Almost went out of business. Lease options and Section 8, that's my thing.
So Section 8 is rentals, but it's the guaranteed income that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, let me make sure I clear that
So
up.
you're done with renting property?
Traditional rentals to private pay tenants.
Got it.
We don't do that. I strongly urge and suggest you don't either.
And when, on the subject two, when they sign over the deed to you.
Deed it
does that
over.
get recorded?
I highly recommend you to do that.
And you haven't found that triggers the mortgage company?
No.
Because the due on sale clause, really, the only time that they could find out about it is they should get notified when there is that recordation.
Insurance, who said that? Terrence. Generally speaking, they only get notified. He's talking about the due on sale. Everybody's worried about the due on sale. The lenders are going to worry. Did you know the worst case scenario, you can deed it back to the seller's name? You have their power of attorney. You can just.
And then you're out of the deal at that point?
Let's hold off on that for a minute. Due on sale, we'll get to that. Due on sale, right? What if the lender wants to come after you, right? I remember the first one I did the whole closing, I was nervous. I'm like, man, all these docs, boom, power of attorney, structured letter, a purchase and sale contract, cover yourself letter, addendums, had it all there, right? Closing, came out of closing, I put $4,000 in, I walked out of the closing. I looked around. There was no due on sale police. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. The only time the lender will get involved remotely is if you don't pay the insurance or have an insurance policy in the seller's name. Now remember, this is a 40,000 foot view today. But yes, there are some moving parts you have to do with the insurance and make sure that stuff, boom, 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 dependent upon how much meat is on the bone. If you got no meat, you can just keep that policy. Got a bunch of meat, you might want to do a few other things, right?
What type of,
When you take a property subject to, when you turn around and do a lease option, are you doing a short-term lease option, or are you letting it roll for 30 years? Or
Long as possible. My favorite exit strategy, guys, lease option, and I do Section 8 too. No more, what? Traditional rentals. You don't want to lose your hair. You must have some traditional rentals too, right, my brother?
I don't.
Oh, you did? Oh, you lost your, okay. Then lose your hair. Lose your hair. Lease options. Down payment. I've sold the same house 3 times in a year. 3 times in a year, guys. I'm not making this up. My daughter's been to the eviction court with me. People give me a down payment, $3,000 or $4,000. You don't remember going to the Wawa recording the guy paying the rent?
Yeah, you said some eviction court.
That was before. That's before we went to court. He was paying.
I was paying rent for a mortgage or something.
Teach them young, right? Teach them young. Rent, mortgage. How many people heard of rent, mortgage when they were 10? I didn't. He's gonna be a millionaire by the time she's 20, y'all. Lease options, long term, as long as possible. I just ask them, how many years do you want? I got this from Scott Jelinek. How many years do you want? They'll say 2 or 3. One dude said 8. I don't care. They're either gonna miss it. Eventually, what I've learned in this business, eventually they all stop paying. They just do. They all stop paying. Now, once in a while, they may cash you out. But, oh, Lord, you're going to cash me out and give me a big old fat check. That's a good day, right? But then you got to go. See, when you get to a certain level in real estate, right, getting capital in is a burden. Selling a house becomes a burden, right? I know this may be a little bit overwhelming, a little different for some of us, but I'll never forget, I used to be happy to sell a house. I was excited. I'm like, damn, we're getting money. Now I'm like, oh, damn, I have to put that money to work somewhere. We get 100 here, what am I gonna do with it? Because what happens if you spend it? You're back to square one. You're back to square one. So, the burdens of the wealthy. I promise y'all, you get 100 here, 200, 300. What am I gonna do with it? What are you gonna do with it? You can't spend it. My wife's like, damn, we can't spend. We are going to Hawaii, babe. We're going to Hawaii. So it comes a time where you say, I want to just hold on. Cash flow. Let me get to cash flow. Who has that? Cash flow is king. Cash flow, y'all. Life happens on a monthly basis. And if you get that cash flow down, man, your life will be amazing.